Hello everyone, and welcome to another midweek video message update. As always, I trust this inquiry finds you safe, healthy, and well. As you can see, I am recording this week's message from my home in Shelby Township. For my video message this week, I want to highlight an article that appeared in a recent edition of Living Lutheran magazine. And the name of that article is, "They May Not Come Back, and Here's Why." They may not come back, and here's why. The article is about how COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated a cultural shift that has been happening in the church since the 1960s. And the cultural shift is this, is that people are shifting away from the age of association and shifting toward or transitioning toward an age of authenticity. So the Lutheran Church and many of our congregations were organized during the age of association. That is, we find our identity in each other. We find our identity in our associations when we belong to groups and organizations and clubs and that sort of thing. And one of the realities is that you'll hear many congregations refer to themselves as families. Well, we refer to ourselves as families because we identify and came out of a time of the age of association. But the transition, the cultural transition is this. People are moving away from the age of association and have been since the 1960s, which means it's already 60 years, and into the age of authenticity. In fact, not only is the age of authenticity quite different than the age of association, people who are engaged or who find meaning in the age of authenticity actually distrust and are driven away from the church by constant talk of the age of association or using language and ideas that come out of the age of association. Let me read just a couple brief paragraphs from this particular article. In the age of authenticity, people can leave voluntary associations and institutions without embedding themselves elsewhere. Things are far more fluid, and identity springs less from a web of institutions than from a series of individual choices. Then the article goes on to challenge us or to invite us into the problem, or to frame it differently, to provide us into the opportunity. How do we become the church that is relevant to and responsible for the age of authenticity? The church, we must change. So my invitation to you is to help me, to help as the ordained leader at Christ Lutheran, but also our leadership, our lay leaders at Christ Lutheran, to help the congregation think through what it means to be a congregation in the age of authenticity. Let me also share this brief paragraph from the same article. If the church is going to make those promises known in the age of authenticity, it may need to think outside the old boxes of the age of association. The core practices of Christian faith and community must endure, but their organizational expression will need to change. We don't yet know what this will look like. It will require a lot of experimentation. This involves investing presence and relationship in community spaces where people already spend time, how to connect the gospel with their longings and losses. It involves learning how to embody the richness of Christian spirituality in simple, accessible practices that help people see in their ordinary lives and try on for themselves. Friends and neighbors in Christ, how do we become the church that Christ intends us to be? How do we become the foot washers in the age of authenticity? It's the story of Pentecost. Instead of asking people to associate with us, Christ calls us to be foot washers and take care of the people who live and find meaning and identity in the age of authenticity. Will you help and prayerfully do so? Help us, help the church at large, help our local congregations experiment and establish relationships with our neighbors in this new age. Thank you for considering this challenge. I look forward to experimenting and working with you. God is up to amazing things. It's a great day to be Christ Lutheran Church. Amen.